What up, baby? You good, bro?
Bryce,
Yes,
is that how you
sir.
greet your parents all the time?
Every
like that?
time, every
It's
time.
super
Yeah,
formal
for
like
sure,
that?
for sure.
What up, my boy?
How we
Good
doing?
to see you
Good to
again,
see you
man.
again,
Good to see
Bryce.
you
What's
guys.
up, man?
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
What's up, man? We out here in the OC.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I envisioned it as when they had their own show. This is what I thought it would be. And they got the housewives of Orange County, too.
They probably live out here because it's nice.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
You grew up nice, man.
I didn't grow up in Orange County, that's for sure. I definitely didn't grow up in OC.
Okay.
But yeah, it's super nice out here.
Hold up, limitless. Niggas to me, can't pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Trust, limitless. Niggas to me, can't pinning it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, get me up. On the mission, get me up. Knowing me, I got the key.
Well, man, welcome to the show. We got Freddie T.
Mm-hmm.
This is Channing. We told him, you know what I mean, that you grew up in a nice household and not to ask you any of those questions about what went on in Tuscaloosa.
Everybody got vices. Everybody got vices.
I'm RC. Welcome to the Pivot. We have Heisman Trophy winner Bryce Young. And Old Spice has never sent us anything. They actually sent something for this show. I guess it was our cross-country travels, but we do have their Swagger dry spray. They probably sent it for you, too,
What I need that for?
because you don't have enough confidence. It's about confidence in the spotlight.
Is that my smelf?
Yeah, your smell confidence.
That's my smelf confidence. I like it, baby.
24/7 freshness with daily use, Chan. But now, honestly, they gave it to us and they started talking about being confident in the spotlight, and you are the prototypical winner. But when you won the Heisman Trophy, you said you weren't prototypical. You said being an African-American quarterback, and then you used the words quote unquote undersized, and that's not prototypical either. That's a moment when you win the Heisman Trophy that I'm sure every quarterback, every kid has dreamed about, but you took that time to point out, yeah, there are certain things about me that people can see or perceive as negative. What made that important to you at that time?
Yeah, I've been blessed. I really feel like in the timing that I've come, there's been black quarterbacks now that have been successful, and guys that have been undersized have had success in the league and in college. But you guys know better than me. For the longest, that wasn't the case, and I kind of grew up in that generation where it was starting to get destigmatized a little bit, but it still wasn't the norm. Like it's still, I think now again, just there's been a lot of pioneers that have pushed the game forward and done a lot for us as a people. But for a while, and especially for me growing up, I didn't get the same looks. It wasn't the same. I was counted out, from being a black quarterback, and especially from being smaller too. Again, we're starting to see it change a little bit. I'm blessed for the time when I have, but for a long time it was the pocket passers. That was a real quarterback. If you're a dual threat quarterback or you're a running quarterback, you gotta they can't win big games. Not gonna work in college or in pros, and that's what I was hearing a lot growing up. For me, I always kind of had that mentality to overcome that. And for me, I focus on myself, focus on trying to prove myself right and what I can control. I always had to deal with that throughout my life, and throughout high school, I was blessed to be ranked high, be able to get recruited to a lot of places, being able to play at Alabama, and there to have success. So I understand now that it may look at, you may be able to see a 5-star ranking and think, yeah, like I was always, I was always betting on people always expected this from me, and I have had expectations, but I had to work really hard to get to that point. When I was in middle school, I had to go and play on the top middle school team and go to Florida, do all this stuff, and I had to go to all the camps to get there. And I had to go to the best high school and win and produce, there to do that. And again, I had a bunch of great people around me that helped me. It wasn't just me for sure, but it wasn't handed to me. Again, I had the ranking. I was able to attend a great university and a prestigious place like Alabama, but I had to work for that. It wasn't something that was just was given. So, and again, I'm grateful for all that I have, but I think it's easy to see Alabama, see 5-star and think like you had it made for you, and it's cool. I feel like everyone's subjected to their own opinion. I don't take it personally or anything, but for me, I know all it took to get there, and I'm proud of that.
Man, you brought up a couple times, and it's sadly become the narrative. You got to be getting tired of that small shit. Have you always? They act like you are a damn Lord of the Rings hobbit or something. Like, is it that because great in high school, Heisman Trophy winner, has that always been there? Because the league will go find some shit to knock you and take some money from you now. Has it always been there? Have you always been questioned about your size?
For sure. Literally, I couldn't remember a time I wasn't. I've always been, respective to the people around me. I've always been this height. I've always been shorter. I've always been smaller, and I couldn't. And I think a lot of people always say like, man, you must be sick of this draft process. People talking about your size, like I'm 21. I've been dealing with this my whole life. Like, this is not new at all.
Right.
And it's okay. Like, for me, I'm not someone who really wants to go out and combat everything people say about me or refute. Or, honestly, I don't even think, I don't look at people as, man, they got it wrong. That's messed up, man. They're doubting me. I feel like that's the beauty in sports. Like, we all believe in, we all have our favorites and root for certain people, and we all, we all have opinions on every individual athlete, and that's cool. Like, I'm good with that. For the people that support me and believe in me and all that, I'm super grateful. But, for everyone who doesn't think it thinks I'm too short or whatever it may be, like, I never take that stuff personally. Like, I feel like the beauty of sports is, we get to have these conversations. We all grew up going to the barbershop and talking sports and arguing. And, like, I'm blessed to be able to be in a situation where, people have an opinion. And I'm grateful for that. And I don't really get too sick of hearing it. I know who I am. I'm confident in that. And, for me, this isn't anything new. But it's something that I've been hearing for a long time.
You try to stretch out and get that inch when people walk up. that straight back.
Nah, I'm me. I'm good with it. Whatever it was.
Hey Bryce, just to piggyback off Channing a little bit, hearing those things, is that extra fuel to your passion to go out there and play and prove people wrong and show them that size really doesn't matter? And along with that, what do you love the most about the game?
Honestly, it really isn't extra fuel for me. For me, I'm someone who's very, very internally motivated. I'm really big on controlling what you can control, and I feel like that spreads into a lot of aspects of life. And if I was relying, I feel like, on other people and what other people said, and negativity or comments to boost me or to fuel me, what happens if someone believes in me, or what happens if that changes? Then what? Am I not going to work as hard? Am I not going to push myself as hard? So that's not really how I look at things. Again, everyone's entitled to their opinion. It's cool. And, whether everyone's rooting for me or everyone's against me, at the end of the day, I'm motivated by pushing myself, being the best version of who I am. I'm internally motivated. So that stuff, honestly, is not really stuff like, oh, I'm going to hold on to that and write it on my wall, and I'm going to keep referencing it, and I can't wait to prove people wrong. That's not really how I think, to be honest with you. For me, again, it's more about, being the best version of myself, doing whatever it takes to do that. And, that's kind of how I approach it. And as far as, my favorite part of the game, there's so much. I mean, the game has done so much for me. I've been blessed to be able to accomplish so much because of it. But, I think it's the day-to-day challenge that the game brings. I think obviously in college, everyone sees Saturdays, and that's the product. That's the end goal. That's what everyone's gonna see. And then now it's gonna be Sundays. As we all know, it's the day-to-day that determines how that's gonna go on a weekly basis, season for every season. It's what you do throughout the day. And for me, I think being able to have that end goal of the game, something that I'm working for, and being able to play and being able to accomplish my goals, that pushes me and holds me to that standard of doing the little things right every single day, making the right choice, and big picture stuff of trying to practice, to the little things of spending the extra time watching film, how I choose to carry myself around others, and making sure that I'm presenting myself the right way. There's countless little things every day that you strive to do, and I feel like the game just holds me accountable for that. And I think it makes me obviously a better player and a better person too.
Right. I love people or players that are more internally motivated than using outside factors to try and get them up to ball, this game or that game. And I love it for you even more because those guys that usually they look at things and they say, well, this team didn't draft me, so I'm going to use that as my motivation. But lucky for you, 1, 2, 3, like you don't have to look at too many teams to get upset at, because when they call your name, it's going to be pretty early. What has this whole entire process been like for you?
It's been crazy. It's something that I've always dreamed of, and it's crazy to, just I think a big thing of this process is just like, it's crazy seeing those, that one of those dreams of going to the NFL is right around the corner. But it's been pretty hectic, and honestly, it's a rare time in my life where you don't really know what you're working towards. Like, you really focus on yourself, and you really are all locked in on getting yourself better without any team goal in mind. And play a team sport. It's always, you're pushing yourself, you want to be better, but also you're learning an offense, or you're doing that and you're making sure you're on the same page with your guys. You're throwing off, like, I don't know what my system's gonna be. I don't know who my teammates are gonna be. And that uncertainty took a little bit of adjusting to. I mean, it's cool to be able to really, for once, focus on yourself without there being any sort of, without the team goals, without, there being any other layer. But, it's weird. Like, again, operating a team sport, and, there's always something there's always a goal as a team that you're working for, that you're working on yourself, but you're working on the team. And this is straight working on yourself, getting ready for the process, getting ready for the next level. And it's kind of been interesting, living that world for a couple of months. At first it was exciting, but now, I definitely miss that team environment, that team atmosphere, and just having those goals as a team and more direction. So I'm, luckily we're a few weeks away, and I'm excited for that for sure.
It's gonna be pretty dope. These guys don't know what it feels like to be top 10. So Brian doesn't know what it feels like to even be drafted. So it's even more of a blessing.
These are not lies, brother. This is true.
I was supposed to go in the first round.
Supposed
I got
to.
locked up 3 times.
That'll do it.
Yeah, everybody got vices. I said it. Everybody got vices.
Getting locked up don't have to be one, though.
That was my vice.
It kind of leads us to something. We had Dion on the show, Prime on the show recently, and he caught some flack for talking about how he wanted his quarterbacks and offensive players to grow up as opposed to his defensive players. And he said, I want my quarterback to come from a good home and have both parents, and then I want my defensive players to be another way so they're hungry. But you did have that life. We sit here, we talk to Craig, and we talk to Julie, man, great humans on top of being good parents. And you're the only child.
Yeah.
In having both of your parents there, having that type of support, but also being the only child, what were some of the great things about that? And how much pressure did you feel at some point to make sure you did things to make both of them proud of you?
In my opinion, I have the best parents in the world, and having them there for me, to just supporting me through thick and thin. When I was young, obviously, always taking me to practices and to games, just being around, giving advice and helping me and pushing me in a positive way. I'm extremely grateful for that. I definitely wouldn't be the person or the player that I am, without my parents. And, I think one of the really big things that helped me was they never really put pressure on me. They put pressure on me to be the best version of myself and whatever it is. And, it really wasn't even pressure. It was just them instilling that in me, just having that pride about whatever it is that I chose to do. And, for me, it happened to be football, but whatever it was, now obviously it's football, but whether it was basketball earlier on or whatever that I was doing, my parents were just big in making sure that I was proud of that. I was giving my all to that. Whatever I was gonna be, they were cool with it. They were happy with it. They just wanted me to be the best at that, to be the best version that I could at that. For me, that kind of alleviated that pressure. Having parents that I knew loved me unconditionally, that I knew whether I won or I lost, whether it was a good game or a bad game, they loved me just the same. And, for me, you want to naturally, like, especially as a kid, you want to make your mom proud, you want to make your dad proud, you want to come back with this trophy and here's what right. I did. And, that definitely motivated me a lot as a kid, but they really instilled that a lot in me, and just knowing, like, hey, even when it was a great day or it was, we love you, just so you know, like, if you would have missed that shot or, if you guys would have lost, like, we would love you the exact same. And again, having that in my life, and, it helped me not really want to do things for validation. It wasn't for the validation of others, at least. It helped me with that, being self-motivated and looking for that validation from myself and pushing myself, and the satisfaction that comes from, giving your all to something, but not really needing to be validated by others. So I'm super grateful for that.
And that thing that you were gonna make your parents proud with ended up being football.
Yeah.
Obviously. And I was speaking with my mom and pops before you came, and they knew at 4 months that this was it.
Yeah.
Because you were catching footballs at 4 months, couldn't even hold your head up, and you had yak yards.
Yeah, that's why it's funny. We were just talking about this. My dad was telling a story of like, I maybe it was like 4 months, but I'm laying down and I can't talk, I can't walk, I can't crawl, but like he put his hand in there and he's like, man, you just had such great grip strength and I threw a ball and you just caught it perfectly. It's like, look, I believe that's how you think it played out, but that doesn't even like. Yeah. But I let him have his moment. I guess I was there, but I don't remember. I can't verify it, so it seems a little.
No, he said that he dropped it, and your mom said it too. Now, I feel like Craig could lay it on thin, but I'm not gonna do that to Mrs. Julie.
Oh, Mom's went with the story
Mom said
too?
she went with the story too.
She might have just had his back on some like,
together.
He's acting like, united front type. Like
that's love. That was all love.
Yeah, because I don't remember her being that. I don't remember her agreeing with that story, but
well, listen, they might have known something.
Maybe
Heisman Trophy winner, maybe the top pick in the draft. You know what I'm saying? They might have known something. When did you know?
That's a really good question. To be honest with you, I'm not a huge like big picture guy. Like I'm a lot more, I'd say like just a lot more process oriented in what I do. I'm not a huge 10-year, 5 years, this is where I want to be. This is exactly what I have. I think it stems from, again, I've been taught this, I'm not in control of my life. Like I think that God guides my life, and those big picture things, those things we're talking about years and years down the line, that's stuff that I'm gonna be where I'm supposed to be based off where God places me. And I wanna do everything I can to work on myself and put myself in the circumstances and, hey, this is what I want, what I think is best, and I'm gonna try to put myself in the best position if that's what God wants for me to take advantage of it. But I'm not really big on the, I think I'm gonna do this, I think I'm gonna get to this. So I was never growing up like I'm gonna be in the league one day. Like, and I was never like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. But I honestly never thought that far ahead. I was just, happy with where I was at. And, I was like, all right, here's where I'm at. Like, this is cool. Like, but this is not where I want to be. So like, what's the next step? Okay, if it's youth, like even when it was youth, it's just like, okay, this is fun. I enjoy playing football. Like now what can I do to get better at it? What can I just, do to win my Pop Warner League and have, and go out with like my friends and actually win. And then, in high school, it starts getting a little bigger, and there's all the tangible goals of whatever it is you're trying to win a state title or whatever. How can I do that? How can I get better and put my team in a better position? Same thing in college. I didn't attack it as like, all right, when I get here, I'm going to Alabama because I want to go to the league and I want to be this top pick and I want this to play out like this. I want to win this award. I want to, I think you obviously have goals, you have aspirations and dreams. But I always wanted to focus on being the best version of myself. And so big picture, I never felt like I made it, I'm there. Like I still don't feel like that, honestly. Like I don't think like I'm nowhere near a complete product. There's a lot of things I want to improve on, a lot of work that I know is in front of me. And, I don't think I ever really had that moment of like, man, this is it now. In game, we've all been there. You feel like, all right, yeah, like I'm here. But it's all been spur of the moment type stuff. It's never been that big picture of like, oh, now I did this. Like, now I'm here. Now I'm in this level.
What was the throw you showed me?
The Kansas State throw in the corner. I don't care what he said. When he threw that in his heart, like, he probably was like, I'm going to be humble outwardly. I know inside, he was like, I'm him. First off, because you don't throw it, right? If I'm coaching, what pass I'm talking about, right? The one to the corner, that corner sinking. Yeah. Right, he's 6'1", he's gonna be a pro, right? You throw it, first thing I say, that's not a great decision, Bryce. Like, I don't know if that's the type of decisions that's gonna get you picked first overall. Then the throw lands, and I said, but that's the type of throw that'll get you picked first overall. When you do something like that, what is the feeling? Is it like, this is what I worked for, this is how I practice, this is who I am? Or is it at some point you're like, okay, I'm feeling pretty good about this?
How I think sitting here right now and talking to everyone, and I think, most of my life, I say, but, there's how you think now. And then, when you're running out on that other tunnel, you're on the field, you know, there's 100,000 people in the stands, like, I think a little bit differently there. I think we all do.
Wow.
So in those moments, then, you know, it's confidence. It's, yeah, like, you know, I'm here, like, this is what it is.
No,
you're
not
able
I'm
to-
here, I'm him.
It's like you're able to still process stuff and not lose yourself. And I'm able to feel that confidence, but still be able to process, still be in the moment, still be able to analyze everything that's going on. But, you know, in those times, you know, when it's that time and you're running out, I do feel a little bit differently than I do just sitting here on the couch.
You've answered, and I'm paraphrasing, but when you get criticized or anybody questions something, you kind of answer, Google me. Because you be like, I know who I am, I know what I've done. Google me, look at it.
I feel you. And again, for me, like, honestly, like, when people have those opinions or doubts, like, I think everyone's entitled to them. Like, I don't look at it as, like, even they're like, man, they're tripping. Like, what's going on? Like, everyone's entitled to those opinions. I'm not, like, I'm good with it. Like, it's cool. Like, whatever you do, no one's gonna 100% love you. No one's gonna 100% hate you. Like, I don't really feed off that. Like, that's not, I'm not here to, like, make people believers. I'm not here to have this opinion of me. Again, like, I can't control what people say about me, what people think. And honestly, I don't think there's a right or wrong. Like, I don't think it's, like, I know me, I know what I can do. And it's like, if that's how you feel, like, I respect it, man. Like,
But on that Google me part, because Ryan, he was jacked up about that play. That's why I brought it up, because
I showed it to him.
he
I was like,
ran
bro,
his phone to
bro,
me.
you gotta see this.
What you know, put the humble to the side, bro. You're a top pick. What's that play for you? That somebody says, man, you're not that good. Go back in the second quarter of this game and check that out.
okay, I will. All right. Honestly, I don't know if it's the most, like, impressive or like, but the play I say that I felt probably the most, like, okay, like, yeah, like, it was Tennessee. And again, it's like, if you watch it on film, it's not that it's like, but it's not a crazy play. It's not like anyone, but I was really, like, that was probably the best I had felt in a moment. Like, we're in red area. It was a fourth down. We had like 2 or 3 third downs that drive, like one of those hard fought. It's later in the game, you know, it's a shootout, super hostile environment. It's like what you live for. And we get blitz 0. It's fourth down and goal, get blitz 0. Shout out to JC on this. He did my right tackle. It's crazy. He actually, like, low-key blocks 2 people at once off the edge because it's 0. We didn't have enough to pick everything up. But I'm trying to get to my tight end, and I step up in the pocket. And there's, like, you know, step in the pocket, someone on top of me, so I redirect, and then my tight end, Cam, he redirects back with me, and I dump the ball off to him over the middle, and it was a touchdown on fourth down. But, like, I don't know why, like, I threw it and, like, I turned around and ran back before it got there.
Steph Curry.
Like,
Yeah.
and I was like, and I ran, like, straight back to, like, I don't know what made me do that. Like, I hadn't in a game, like, done that before. Like, I'll do stuff like that in practice, but, like, I hadn't done it. And, like, I don't know why I was just feeling, but after that was probably, like, one of those plays where, like, going back to the sideline, I'm like, yeah, that's how we are today. Like, that's how we're feeling. Like,
Oh, sure. I was supposed to give you this at some point, man, because this is your gift. And we talking about confidence. I feel like we're gonna go slide there.
You want to say swagger?
Yeah, we're gonna slide
Make sure
there.
he got that. 'cause
Yeah,
he's-
go ahead. Go ahead.
I appreciate
Hey, matter of
that.
fact, too, you need something too, though. Go and put some.
For what?
Just because you on beige, like talking about.
I remember, I believe it was your freshman year, and you guys came down to the swamp. And I'm like, who is this kid that cannot throw the ball to the ground? Like, you hit almost every single pass. I'm like, y'all got to get after this freshman. What's going on? But you can see right then and there, because I had heard about you coming out of high school. I'm like, okay, he's the real deal. He's not that big, but he is the real deal. And, from that moment forward, you've been consistent. You've been consistent. I think that's what the NFL, the scouts, the front office guys, the GMs, as they sit there and evaluate you, they're going to look at the consistency. You have no fall off. They're going to look at your mindset. They like guys to be present and in the moment. That way you're able to maintain focus. And as you continue to go, they've studied you throughout the draft process, the combine, and they're like, all right, this is what we're going to get. You even said it yourself. No one is going to ever love you 100%. Yeah. And that's the NFL. We've all been there. Good, bad, ups and downs. They never love you 100%, no matter how great you are. And that's just a, process you have to go through. But I believe being a psychology major and having a tight mind, you'll understand how to keep yourself steady and in that moment. And I just say that because, obviously we're rooting for you to go top. And whatever happens, being against the odds from that whole size question mark, we've seen you play, and you're a hell of a player. But I did want to go back and ask you. We were talking about your mom and your dad, and you said your mom at that moment when you were 4 months dropped the ball. She had your dad's back.
Yeah.
You also said being somewhere or not being where you want to be. You committed to USC. And then decommitted, obviously made a great decision, went to Bama. What was that moment like? Who did you reach out to first, your mom, your dad, or both at the same time?
Both at the same time. We're a unit. We're always around. Again, only child. We're always around each other. We're always on like a three-way call. We're always texting each other. And my dad knew a little bit more about just the football side of what was going on. And it was something that we all kind of realized together. My mom tells the story all the time, but we went up. We had talked about it a little bit, and it was starting to trend more and more in the right direction, feel like the right thing to do. And then we weren't, I was still committed to SC, and I took a trip. I told them, I was like, hey, I'm gonna take this trip to Alabama. We've been talking, I just want to be transparent about it. So we go up there, take a trip, and so it's like, I forgot what, I think it was like Southern Miss. Mm-hmm. So we go to the game, watch the game. After we go look at all the facilities, we meet with everyone, and I think we're in the offices or something walking, and my mom just starts crying, and I'm like, and we're just walking, and it was like good, everything, and it was kind of that realization that for a while I was gonna be 20-25 minutes away, an hour with traffic, I was gonna be close, I was gonna be within arm's reach, and I think I had kind of, I had saw it, my dad kind of had seen it too, and then it was my mom coming to that realization of this is what was best, this is the right thing. So I think all on that trip, we all, in our own time, and we all came to that together, and we were able to figure out, and it was tough for her because again, I was gonna be close, and now she's coming to the realization that the best place for me is across the country, and it's not just a little drive away, right. I'm gonna be gone for, I've never not been in a house, I'm gonna be gone, and not just down the street, and not just, but I'm gonna be gone across the country. For us, we all kind of at that same time, around that time, realized this isn't what was planned. This isn't the easiest or the most comfortable thing for me. I had everything mapped out. I knew exactly where I was gonna live at. I knew everyone on the team. I knew people who were just students there. It's just closest to me. And I was like, yeah, this is the jump that I'm gonna take. It might be different, might be uncomfortable, but this is what I need. And we all realized it at the same time, and it was definitely a big moment for us as a family.
And being uncomfortable, the culture shock.
Yeah.
You're going from one state to have a certain set of, political views and big state in California to Alabama with the Southern drawl and, just in the deep South. What was that like, being able to adjust there?
Yeah, it was definitely an adjustment. I never spent any extended period of time in the South. So going out there and just jumping in, I'm 1,000 miles away. I was a late recruit. I think I knew one person. We played against one person in the recruiting class, and I knew one person he's played his last year in California. But outside of that, I didn't know anybody in the recruiting class. I maybe knew 2 people on the team. You have to dive into a whole new culture, and it took a lot of adjusting, took a lot of getting used to. Like you said, there's just a lot of differences that there are. But for me, what really helped was being able to lean on the support system that was there and in place, and just the environment that Alabama has. Out here, I wasn't used to football being so meaningful and so important, and people putting so much into it. I was used to football. It's cool if you play football, but it's there's a group of people that are really into football, and it's cool that you're an athlete, and then there's a group of people that could care less. There's who are into an
we
art
all
or
care.
Exactly. And it's it doesn't matter if you're a teacher, if you work at this, it doesn't, all walks of life know about football, especially in Tuscaloosa, it's a college town, and everybody knew. And, for that, it was kind of weird adjusting to it, but just the support that I got from everybody there, from the university, everyone being, so caring, supportive about, just me, just since I was a part of the team. I think that really helped the transition for me.
In retrospect, looking back at that decision, as you're talking, I was thinking about it. Do you think that was good for your development to, more or less pop the bottle out your mouth and go? Because you were saying your mom and dad, y'all the best friends. You were always right here. You've been with them. You're supportive family. But at some point, a young man needs to leave and learn how to do it himself. You think that was are you a better man for going 1,000 miles away?
Yeah, 100%. Just not knowing that, again, if I have a challenge now, there's no calling home. There's no, hey, can you guys come? And that wasn't a possibility, and it was good for me. Again, growing up so far and just being in a situation that I wasn't used to, around people I'm not. Like you said, you have to grow up. You have to figure out who you are so that you can present yourself and be good with who you are to be around other people. And that had to happen quick. And on top of that, you have a lot of responsibilities. There's school. There's obviously right when you get to college, you're learning a brand new system. You're getting football taught to you at a level that you've never gotten it taught to you before. So having to balance all that, juggle all of it, and it helped. Obviously my parents are super far away, but I'm still talking to them every day, and they're still supporting me. It's just a different type of, now it's, hey, we're rooting you on, we're cheering you on, we're support you, we're here for you if you need you. But there's only a certain amount we can do, and like you said, at a certain point, everyone has to grow up and face that, and I think it really helped my development having to do it at that age.
You went from Cathedral to modern day. You make a decision to decommit from USC and go to Alabama. He played for Coach Saban. I played for Coach Saban. We understand what those conversations can be like. But the one thing in mentioning that, you learn to handle situations on your own. You learn to take a next step in life responsibilities and the next step in understanding and grasping football. It's going to be the same thing moving to the next level. I can tell you this, to me, it's not as much of a jump. I think high school to college is actually more difficult than college to pro. But the one thing that happens when you do get away from your parents and you go to Alabama, you're leading a locker room of 5 stars. You're leading a locker room of 4 stars. On this next level, you're going to be asked to lead a locker room of grown men. Yeah. Some of those grown men with children, and a lot of them with families. Being the number 1 pick is going to carry a heavy weight. Have you thought about where you're going? And I guess my question is, because I know you are humble and you say you just want to focus on you, how important is it to be the number 1 pick?
For me, I don't think it's something that I put stock in. I feel like I'm going to land where I'm supposed to. I feel like, again, everything happens for a reason. And I can't control it, honestly. Like, I know it, I keep saying it, but it's like, if I worry about stuff I can't control, like, I'm gonna go crazy. Like, if I worry about, what happens here? How do people feel? What if someone picks? Like, that just doesn't feel like an efficient way for me to operate. Being number 1 pick falls in that. And like, again, I feel like you're talking about where you're gonna move, where you're gonna live, who you're gonna play for. Like, man, like, that's not up to me. Like, that's stuff that's away from me. And, as far as, like you said, going into a new locker room dynamics, I'm super excited for that. And, that's going to be something that is new, as far as, just being around different age groups and different backgrounds and just different, around different people. I feel like I have to earn that respect to be where I want to be, to help move for the future, help be in a situation of leadership that I've been in the past. I understand that's not something that I can just walk into day one. Regardless of where I'm picked and what I've done, I'm not entitled to anything. I'm not entitled to be treated by anyone any way, whether that be on the field, off the field, any teammates. Again, I understand. I came into Alabama, it was the same thing. I'm a 5-star and ranked whatever I am. No one cares when you get to Alabama. It doesn't matter. Everyone else did that. So what are you going to do to yourself to set yourself apart? How are you going to earn our trust? I feel like it comes with again, having to earn that. And at the next level, I feel like it'll be similar, of me wanting to do everything I can to earn the respect of my peers, by how I carry myself, how I work, how I handle my business, how I treat others, and helping, and how dedicated I'm going to be to help building that rapport. I don't think, again, I'm not entitled to anything. I don't think there's anyone that, oh, I'm not going to deal with this, but I don't, like, I want to show what I want to be for everyone, for the team, for the franchise. And I think that comes with work. That's going to be a process and something that isn't overnight. But I'm excited to help prove myself and try to earn the respect of everyone in the building through my actions, how I carry myself, and how I act day in and day out.
Football's about to change for sure. On the field stuff, face of a franchise, just all the football. Football is about to change, but off the field as well is about to change for you. Are you ready? Because there's pitfalls out there. Like, This is perfect. I just thought Joe Siegel was my agent. Mm-hmm. And when I signed, I went third round and all that stuff, and I'm upset, supposed to go first round. But when I signed my deal, I'm upset now because I see the money. I was supposed to get $20 million. I ain't get but $4 million. And I'm like, damn, I'm mad at $4 million. Mm-hmm. And he put it to me in a way that I could grasp it and take joy in it. Mm-hmm. He said, congratulations. And he sees I'm mad. I said, for what? He said, you've just become the top 4 financial earners in the world. And I said, that's a hell of a way to look at it. You know what I'm saying? Where you're upset about this money and that money. So I say that to say, are you ready for that side of it? Yeah. The girl side of it. You're about to be
first off,
the picture of everything.
You got to remember, this is the young man that Nick Saban put on Front Street. Yeah, our quarterback hasn't started a game, and he already has $1 million in NIL money. So you might not want to talk about the money. He's been a millionaire.
Okay, but hell, it's on the internet. He's about to get $40 million, 25 signing bonus. That's more than $1 million. I do easy math. That's different money. What about that? I won't say scared, but the concerns of that. I signed a adjustable rate mortgage when I first came out. It was 4% for 2 years. It jumped to like 96%. I was paying more damn interest than principal because I didn't know what an arm was. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a lot of crap that's about to come at you that, I know your pops is there, I know your mom's there for you, but are you ready, or is there any concern with any aspect that doesn't have to do with you putting a helmet on?
Nah, not really. I acknowledge that all that stuff is there. I'm not saying I'm not concerned because like, that's not true, or like that doesn't exist for me. Like, that's not true. Like, you're right. It is stuff that it is there. I think financially, having NIL really helped me as far as, I was able to have that jump of, I was able to do a lot of things for my family and put us in a different circumstance than, we grew up with and where we were. We were able to do a lot of things, and, I was able to change, a lot of things that, I was normally used to throughout my life. I was able to change that, and luckily, I was able to experience that. That's not something that, before NIL, it's like, man, how are you gonna deal with that? I kind of dealt with it. Like, I kind of know the difference. Like you said, I had to understand that people knew, whatever it was that was put out there that I had.
Gotta build a team as well.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I'm in that. I've kind of started that. I have the people around me that, that I trust, and I have a small circle, and for me, I've kind of started that journey already. So I think, I'm not saying everything always goes perfect, but I'm good at how things happen. And luckily, when it'll be a blessing to sign that contract and, to have that money in my account, and, that it's going to be a really big blessing. Don't get me wrong. But I know that I'm going to be able to look at it and be grateful for what it is. It's not going to change. I'm not going to be I'm not going to act any differently. I'm not going to change. I'm not going to look at it like, oh, now I can do this. Now I can do, like, luckily I feel like I've kind of experienced that already. I've kind of felt, what it's like to, like, from how I grew up versus now, it's like, I felt that already. And, also I understand that everything's circumstantial. Like, I'm not entitled to anything regardless, the way people treat you, the way that things happen, all this stuff that's around you, it's because of my circumstance, and circumstances are always up in the air. You have to earn that right to do all that stuff. So I don't take it as, oh, I'm treated like this now. Oh, that's who I am. Or like, oh, I'm getting this benefit. That's just because of me. That's who I am. That's not true. It's because of what I've done in the past, honestly. Every time you get treated some way, it's based off what you've done in the past. And it has nothing to do with your future. And as we all know, the moment that changed in the future, all those circumstances, all the stuff that you're getting used to, all that stuff is gone. So I'm not ever thinking like, oh, this is my life. This is what I'm entitled to. This just happens because of me. Like, I understand it's a product of what I've done in the past, but that's not who I am. I'm not entitled to that in the future. So because of that, I can just keep going and focus on.
He's different than you, because if you were going to Carolina or Houston, because James Harden got his numbers retired in strip clubs. If you got $40 million at either of those places, we know what would happen to the strip club economy.
Nothing. I'd be dead. They gave me $40 million. I'd be dead right now. Boy, I'd have been bought me an island and be deceased for 20 years right now. You know what? And y'all laugh when I said it. Watch me, because I'm always right. When I say advice, see y'all go bad. I'm not talking about girls. I hope you ain't smoking no crack. I'm talking about every time somebody gets money, there's something. You a shoe dude, you a clothes guy, you a jewelry. There's something that you got $1 million and you said, oh, my shoe game about to be sweet.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Shoes first. It was shoes, actually. It was shoes. I'm now stepping into, it's kind of becoming clothes a little bit too, but it was definitely shoes. I always really liked shoes, but I when I was younger, I would get some, my dad would hook me up with some shoes, but the older I would get, you get in the circus and stuff, you get to go to camps, so they give you shoes for free, they get you. So I didn't buy a pair of shoes for maybe 5-6 years just because of going to camps. All I do is wear the free stuff. And same thing with my clothes. All I do is wear camp clothes, not because it's free. I didn't spend a penny on shoes, clothes for and then, NIL happened, and I was like, you know what?
Treat myself.
You want to be fresh.
Yeah, and with shoes, I've chilled recently because I will say I did go a little crazy. I did go a little crazy with the shoes. I made sure it was it was responsible, but I'm good now kind of off the shoes. I have a good amount.
The good thing about going top pick, wherever you fall, is that you're going to have a lot of big companies coming to court you, and they want you to be the face of their brand. So you'll get a whole lot of other free stuff in due time. I wanted to ask you, Bryce, just sitting here listening to you, man, definitely a huge fan. Huge fan, even more now. Gatorade Player of the Year, USA Day Player of the Year, #1 QB prospect coming out of high school, Heisman Trophy winner, national champ, and a million other awards, accolades. What are your nerves like? I've never seen you frustrated or.
Dude's never nervous.
Yeah, right. Ever. What are your nerves like? Do you flinch?
For me, I'll be honest. You get in these pressure situations, these do or die. It's a 2-minute. Or, you're down, whatever it is. For me, think about when we were all kids, and whether it was basketball, you're shooting outside before you go in, it's 3, 2, 1, last shot, game 7, the final. You're throwing the ball, it's the winner's Super Bowl. Now, I haven't obviously been specifically at those levels, but I get to, kind of feel something close to it. And it's where else, that stuff we all dream of as a kid, and I get to live that stuff out. I don't see there's anything to fear. There's nothing to be scared of. That's an opportunity. And I feel like pressure only brings out who you are. I feel like in pressure situations, who you are at the core is going to show. What you've been doing, how you prepare, all that stuff, that's what's going to show. If I didn't prepare, or I didn't feel like I worked hard in the off season, or I didn't feel confident who I was, I'd be nervous in those situations for sure. But for me, I feel like those are the situations where who you are is going to show. The preparation you put in, how you carry, all that stuff, all the work you put in throughout, that's who's going to show in those big time moments. And I pride myself in doing the work so that when that happens, in those moments, I'm confident. I know who I am, and that's what I'm kind of able to look into. Hey,
RC, we spoke just last night. What was the book you mentioned about Michael Jordan being in that moment?
The book is called Relentless, and in the book it talks about the clutch gene, and it says that nobody truly has the gene. That if you look at all the people who we've given that to, the Michael Jordans, the Kobes, the Tom Bradys, in those moments, they're actually doing what they always do. They're just doing it at the most important moment of the game. But what it is they practice that shot, they practice that throw, they practice that 2-minute drill, and they've done it their entire lives. And so when they get in that moment, they don't have a heightened sense of pressure. Yeah. It's just the same snap I've always taken. Instead of it being 4 minutes in the third quarter, it's 2 minutes in the fourth. And I think that's what we've always seen. Like I told you, bro, I sent y'all the text. I tweeted it. I'm a genius. I should have, what I should have did? I should have put money down early. If I was Floyd, because speaking of shoes, we was at Floyd's house last night. If you ever get like that, we're gonna do an intervention.
Yeah, we're gonna check the shoe
Yeah,
size.
we're gonna do an
Imagine.
intervention. All we wonder though, are you gonna have a CD Lamb moment or something like that at the draft where your girl grabs your bat phone and you gotta grab it from, and then Miss Julie looking at her side eye like this, thinking, don't grab my baby phone.
I ain't even want her here anyway.
Right. We don't even like her.
No girl. So nah, I won't have to worry about that.
I want to go back really quick. RC, because I can remember the name of the book, but I just thought it was amazing, and everything you said sort of reminded me of that conversation from last night. But in terms of, asking about pressure situations, have you had the moment where, the sense of urgency has kicked in, where you're telling yourself, look, I'm ready. It's here. I'm excited. I'm looking at these players. I can make that throw. I want to go and show everybody I can make these elite throws. Has that moment occurred prior to the draft coming up?
I think it's just more been excitement. Like I've definitely had those moments of, in this process, I've watched a lot of film, watched a lot of just quarterbacks I admire and look up to, and guys that I feel like I can learn from, and just I've watched a lot of that, and I've been like, yeah, like fill it out, like okay, like I've done something similar like this, like all right, I see how we got there, like I can see myself getting there. And I think more so for me, it's just, I've been more so anxious to be able to go out and do it. Again, like this is my dream. Like being able to play in the NFL is a dream, and it's just been more anxious to get on the field and realize that. And it's again, I watch stuff, you start to tie that into your experiences and how you like, oh, I think I would have done, or I think maybe I would have got here, but it still might have. And, it'll be exciting for when those hypotheticals, actually get to realize itself in practicing the games.
Who are a few of those guys?
Aaron Rodgers is someone that I've definitely always, that's someone I've always watched and always admired a lot. Patrick Mahomes, of course. I mean, Patrick Mahomes has just the success he's had, how he plays the game, like he's legitimately changed the game a lot. How the position's played, been a lot there. Joe Burrow is someone that I really am a big fan of his game and what he can do. You can't get me started on this list, man.
That's perfect. Those guys are all elite, future Hall of Famers in my opinion. So
yeah, and so there's I talked to Pops a little bit more, obviously, than I talked to you. So I want to bring him on to I think it's this interesting dynamic that has happened with quarterbacks. And we kind of started off with your quote from the Heisman about African-American quarterbacks. And we are getting to a point where I do believe we can stop having that singular conversation. Yeah. I pointed out that Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes were the first duo of African-American quarterbacks to start a Super Bowl. But I made sure to point out their fathers being a part of their lives as well. And we're getting where you're hearing about Kyler Murray or RG3, and it seems like the black fathers who are extremely present in their sons' lives get the bad rap, or that they could be a little bit too much, whereas Archie Manning was able to be a part of manufacturing that his son not go to San Diego and go to New York. So just to have a little bit of that conversation with him as well.
So, sir?
He got,
I had those shoes on.
I believe it.
Bryce, he got clean too though. He changed his clothes and everything when we got here.
This is great. The only thing that I had a little issue with was that the validity of my story was questioned. Like a brother just made it up. So that's
Craig, we didn't question it. Your flesh and blood did.
I'll be like, that doesn't add up to me. Like, if I'm being honest with you, like, that's crazy.
I know. That's what I'm saying. That's why it's miraculous.
I know, but as like a proud father, you see how you could benefit from like over the years, like from like, oh, he grabbed it and picked it up to like, oh, he snatched out there.
Well, I said,
like, you see how it could.
No, you were laying back and it would, and I kind of dropped it in your hand, and then you.
So I balanced it in my hand.
No, it
I
hit
caught
there,
it,
and then it closed when you caught it, and that was enough for me.
So
OBJ?
right now you're one-handed. See, earlier when the story was told, I thought you kind of slapped at it. When Julie told it, you slapped at it on the ground and grabbed it.
Now
Julie told it. Yeah, she was laying back. Boom, we caught it, and I was like, there it is.
So now it's Justin Jefferson versus Buffalo.
It is.
And he tapped his toes.
He got his feet in and everything.
Could be San Antonio, two hands.
Could be
in the
told,
Super
man.
Bowl.
Hey, man. I mean, it's like the swagger, man. 24/7 freshness when you with daily use, champ.
Hey, listen.
So it don't mean
you gonna make me smell this good and look this good? Sorry, fellas in the world, it's over for you.
Hey, yeah. Hey, Old Spice can't help but ugly. They can do a lot of stuff. They can't fix that. Craig, you know, obviously you miraculously knew that Bryce was going to be the Heisman Trophy winner when he one-handed the soft football back in the day. But the process that you guys are going through now, you know, no matter how much you've been a part of helping them understand football, whether it's youth, middle school, high school, when he's being critiqued harshly every day on TV about his height, about his size, you just become the dad.
Absolutely.
What has this process been like for you?
It's funny, we talked about that a little bit early. It's a balancing act because at the end of the day, as a parent, you always have this protective instinct, right? You always want to make sure that that your kid is protected, and if you feel like something that's being said is not true, you want to make sure that you want to rectify that or validate or invalidate it. But then I have to understand that Bryce is his own man, and he is perfectly capable of handling himself, and he's perfectly capable of being able to rise above that. Because at the end of the day, as a parent, sometimes you learn from your kids, and for me, there was always sometimes there's confrontation, probably for my age and kind of what the generation we came from. If there's confrontation, then I'm going to bring that energy right back. I'm going to make sure, okay, if you said something about him, I'm going to make sure. And see, for Bryce, he's internally motivated. He knows exactly who he is. And then for me to come out here and try to do something contrary, that doesn't make sense. So sometimes the best thing to do is just to be still, text you. You can talk me off the ledge, but understand that the proof is in the film, and the proof is in who he is, and that's enough. And I think what Bryce had said earlier is that God is in control of our life, and control of His destiny. And this isn't about proving people wrong or invalidating opinions. It's about His journey and respecting that and understanding that my role adjusts. And now it's to be a partner, it's to be a confidant, it's to be someone who can help him along his journey, but not to rescue him.
Aside from his abilities, which he has a ton of, the NFL loves structure. They love foundations, strong foundations, backgrounds. Yeah. They're making sure, they're running all sorts of background checks. You got to do all these different tests. And what they understand is when it comes down to whether it's Bryce or CJ for that first or second pick, they're going to look at the totality, of Bryce. What his parents, his family, his house, his background, how he is, he's in trouble, he's had problems, all those different things. Those small things determine if he's going to go 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever it may be. But that's the front office, that's the NFL, that's just the nature of the business. And you guys have done an amazing job with him. So salute to you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You and your wife built a monster. And I even get uncomfortable when my son plays baseball and he'll have a good game and people come and congratulate me. And I say, I didn't do nothing. Go say Little Chan, go tell him. But where is that mid-ground? Because you're proud of your son.
1,000%.
But you should also be proud of yourself, but you don't want to take any shine away from him. Like knowing what you built, what does that do for you inside? And is there a little pride in, look at my damn son?
I'm proud of him when he took that first breath until now. So it has nothing to do with football. I'm proud of him about the young man that he is, who he is, how he handles himself, how he's a representative of Christ. And every day when we'll pray before games and stuff like that, and it's for that his play glorifies God. So and that's dope. Like when you say you built a monster, no, actually God did. And so really what I was a vessel to manifest God's blessings and God's promise through his life. So the credit that I will take, and what a lot of times parents ask me what for advice, what I could do, was if you're in a path and you feel that path God has spoken to you and you feel like that's the path that you're going to go on, don't allow someone who wasn't in that conversation with you and God to take you off that path. So for us, we've always wanted to cultivate, Bryce said it earlier, cultivate whatever he wanted to do. And obviously when it came that he was really good in sports, we wanted to give him every opportunity to be successful. And then along that journey, there's people who know, and I'm sure everybody here has heard that, there's people that say, for whatever reason, you can't be successful. At some point, the success that you're having is going to change because of X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
We never let that dissuade us or take us off our path. So one thing I will take credit for, and for my wife for also being there to support us, is that once we knew what the path was, nothing was going to stop it. And so I think we just really listened and followed that. So, and then, man, I ain't thrown one touchdown pass. And if you see me throw, so that is really a manifestation of his hard work. And then just us, Julie and I, supporting him as best we can. But am I proud of him? Every single day.
I was saying, are you proud of you?
Yeah, I mean, I don't process it like that. Yeah. But I am proud of our family.
I'm about to make you work, right? So we know you could throw the football. We know that you on the escapism, the escapability. I think back to the play against Texas. They were the better team that day. Y'all just had the best player, and that was you. I know you might disagree. We just left from down there with Sark, and we talked about it, but when it comes down to this first pick or the second pick or the third pick, it's a group of quarterbacks that are in there. And you said that you evaluate the pro guys and you try to watch the pro guys and take things from their games. I know you know CJ extremely well, being a Cali kid and, you guys being in high school in the same time, but you've also had opportunities to see Anthony play. So I'm going to ask you for some analysis right now. I want you to tell me what makes CJ Stroud a good quarterback. I want you to tell me what makes Anthony Richardson a great quarterback, top 5 pick. And then I want you to tell me, and you can be humble, Bryce, I want you to tell me why Bryce Young should be picked first overall in front of both of them. I can run you through it. CJ first. What is great about CJ Stroud?
I think, again, I've been around him for a really long time. We've known each other for a while. Obviously, we're super close. And seeing how, really seeing how he carries himself, for me, it's really cool. I was able to go to the opening and we're on the same team. And, you see, like I've watched film on a bunch of guys from just from studying film, having mutual opponents, and you can watch the highlights, but seeing how people are in the moment, how they process, that stuff that's hard. That's why people try to send scouts to games and try to get that feel. It's really hard to find if you're just watching TV. But I was able to watch how CJ was in the Elite 11. And that was, that's a big moment. We're all trying to, everyone's trying to be the MVP, and then everyone's trying to win the 7-on-7 tournament. And, it's big at the time. And seeing how he carried himself during that time, seeing how every time there is a big moment, he stepped up. Every big occasion, like seeing that from high school, like watching that in high school, I had watched him play before, and but seeing that in those high pressure situations and stuff that was big, and seeing just how he carried himself, like that was something that really stood out to me. So of course, the accuracy, the decision making, all the intangibles, all the great things that I hear. I've been around a bunch of people that play with him, and when you hear how they talk about him, that I feel like that's always a pretty good measurement of how people are when you hear their teammates, and hearing that, like of course that's all there. But I think we kind of all know that. I think we've all seen that. But being able to see how he carries himself and how he works on a day-to-day, and just seeing what goes into kind of those moments, that was something that was really big for me. So just on top of all the things that you see on film, obviously can make every single throw, obviously process super quick, great decision maker, see how he played against Georgia in the biggest moment, stuff like that. Like that goes without saying, but seeing that was something that, I thought that I got some insight on, and I respect him as a person, first and foremost, but as a football player, that was something that really, really, garnered a lot of respect for me. And Ant's someone that, that I met there too, and it's super cool. I haven't been around him as much, so I don't have that sort of experience, but, being the SEC, I've watched a lot of his games, And obviously, everyone sees everyone sees what he can do. Everyone can see the huge arm, all the throws he can make. Everyone can see the athleticism. But I've been able to see how he can put that together throughout a game. When you're putting stuff on social media, or you're just you show clips and you show highlights. But I've been able to watch how he's been able to sustain that for games, how he's through the ebbs and flows of games that you can see on film. It's like, all right, this is a down. I've seen some of those big throws, and you just see them like, wow, it's a great throw, but you don't see the context. Like, it was actually their backs were against the wall. It was one of those, if we don't get a play here, the game might get out of hand. It was those moments that he stepped up. So I've been able to kind of, just from watching film and watch how it operates, see how not just the highlights, but the timeliness of the stuff that he's done, how he's been able to step up, and also just being around him. He definitely has an energy about him that it draws people towards him. He's a super cool guy, super. I feel like in a locker room, it's going to be easy for people to gravitate towards him. So I think, again, those are just some of the things that make those guys so.
And
good.
So we do this thing called draft vignettes. And when you do a draft vignette, they say Bryce Young is. And so when I did yours, it was Bryce Young is magical. And then I went on to say all of these different things. So if you're doing your draft vignette, this is Bryce Young after a Hall of Fame career, and they're going to pay him $8 million to be on Sunday TV, and he's going to come in and do that 20 times a year and be super rich. If they said, I should be the #1 pick because, how would you finish that statement?
For me, first off, magical, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate
Just
it.
as a Laker fan.
I think for me, it's kind of hard one for me to elaborate on, but I think it's, for me, I'm myself regardless. Like, I feel like I definitely pride myself in, in moments of those pressure situations, and moments where there's always that being unsure, like we were talking about earlier, just how I am in the second quarter, the third quarter. That's how I am there. And I feel like being able to be myself throughout everything, because I take pride and have confidence in, how I am on the field, how I process, how I throw the ball, decision making, all that stuff. But for me, I feel very consistently that I can do that regardless of the situation, regardless of what's going on. That's something I pride myself in a lot. And I think, just being able to be in that state of mind regardless of what's going around, I think is a big reason for me.
Freddie T said he was scared to go to the draft because he didn't want to be stuck in the green room all of that time waiting. We're pretty sure you won't be there long. What are you most looking forward to for your family on draft night?
It's the obvious answer, but it's the one that when I do allow my mind to kind of drift and think about that moment, when the commissioner calls his name, and then watching him do that walk. And then, because I'm sure during that walk, while he's walking down, there's going to be so many memories and so many things that happened or that led us up to this point. And then as a dad, because that's going to be a culmination of when you see your kids' dreams fulfilled. So I'm really looking forward to that.
Oh, Pop, you gonna cry.
Yeah, don't let him talk. Nah, see, he was about. I know what that look was. He was about to say something. No, yes, he is going to.
There's bets in the family about the cry and how long to cry. I'm determined that I'm not gonna cry.
You gonna lose that?
I'm on my Mary J. I'm my Mary J. bride. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna shed a tear. But I'm sure I will. I ain't gonna.
I think that's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
You guys, the journey. Yeah. Just being able to look back on everything, and it's your baby.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? Even when he caught the OBJ at 4 months, it's your baby, and that'll come full circle. You and Julie, you guys deserve it. Yeah. Shed a few tears for us too, man, because I'm rooting for y'all.
Something we talked about, because we're all fathers of boys, and we have dads, obviously. We joke. That's not a joke, let me be honest. I like RC's dad more than him. Mike's my man, but they've had disagreements. Me and Fred talked, he has sons, Y'all ever locked up? Because sooner or later, you went to college, you started putting muscle on, you dad. Did y'all ever lock up and you had to show him dad muscle? Or you had to show him, hey, I'm a grown-ass man right now?
I think the closest is when we grew up always playing basketball against each other. And it didn't take college, don't worry about it. It didn't take that long. But, he used to always take pride and, just like every day, it's like, oh, you've been working out, you think you're good? All right, let's go play one-on-one. Let's go. And I was a kid. Like, yeah, he won more, he had an undefeated record up to a point. and far before what?
What, 7th grade, 8th grade?
I was gonna give him more than that, but if we're speaking our truths here,
I say 8th grade.
if we're speaking our truths, I was gonna say like high school.
Oh, that's love. That's love.
Yeah, I'm here for you, big boy.
I got you.
But yeah, there was a time. I think that was, and I remember. I legitimately remember. Like, I don't even think I ever told you this, but I remember the look in his eye after I won, and like, that's the pure disappointment. Like when there was, I could see so much working through his head. Like, what does this mean? I can't beat him in one-on-one. And I almost felt bad. I almost was like, we can run it back. Right. Almost. I did it. I almost wanted it. So I was like, man,
it meant a lot to us. Like,
one of my biggest regrets because of this story was because he was so competitive as a youngster. And when he would lose, he'd be upset. So sometimes I would let him win.
Yeah.
And it worked because it brought his confidence up and all that stuff. But he showed me when he was able to win, the same mercy was not reciprocated. When he was able to beat me, just from that point on, never again. Trash talk, the whole thing. Not even, Pops, I'm gonna give you 1 or 2. So I wish I could go back. And for as long as I could beat him, I'd have beat him every single time.
But you know how I look at it though? That's the relationship, right? When you're a parent, your relationship is to make sure you build their confidence. Our relationship is to make sure we take care of them. In truth, they don't owe us that.
Yep.
And they don't have that innate feeling about us that I got to make sure Dad feels good when he walks in this house. Because I remember the first time I beat Mike, I was stunting. Because my dad used to play defense way too hard. He was way too physical to say that he was my father. And the first time I beat him, I let him know, and I wanted to play every day after that. You know what I'm saying? And after that, he was like, nah, I'm good. Because that's the point, you know what? I might have raised a dog.
Maybe you guys are right, because he's definitely never winning again. It's over. It's never going to happen again. Like, I can guarantee you that. But maybe you guys are onto something.
Man, but for you, I was talking to your mom about it and your schedule. And she was like, well, we're going to go to the draft this day, and then we get to fly home. And I said, well, normally when the guys pick that high, they fly them out to the team. They have the press conference, all of those things pretty immediately. How much anticipation or how gratifying will it be to have that jersey with the number 1 on it and know that a team thought so highly of, like you said, nothing you're entitled to going forward, but so highly of what you accomplished and the work you put in to say, we want to give you the opportunity to be the face of this franchise?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna mean a lot. Again, that's just, that's something that you dream of. It's gonna feel surreal. Having that, knowing that that's something that's coming, but still just regardless, just being in that moment, I'm super blessed, super grateful, and I thank God for that every day. Like, you can get used to a certain level of whatever it is, whether it's success or how you're treated. But like I said, we're not entitled to it, and it doesn't, just because a bunch of things happen, it doesn't make things that any less special. I'm blessed, I'm grateful for that stuff, and it's gonna be crazy when that happens, and I'm never gonna forget. Even on those long and hard days, and times where it feels tough, it's like, that, you're living someone else's, you're living people's dreams. There's kids out there that are dreaming of being in your situation. And, just being able to realize that, and especially share it with my parents is going to mean the world to me.
They said before the process, we were talking, and Laura Rutledge covers a ton of SEC football. And she said, everybody that meets him is going to fall in love with the person that he is. And I'll say this to you, that's much more important, at least as far as your life continues to go on, than the type of player you are. So your parents have done an amazing job, but even with that, man, you're doing an amazing job because you make the decision of who you're gonna be every morning you wake up. It doesn't matter how you're raised. We all know people that were raised certain ways, and they get in other elements and they decide to be things different than what their foundation is. And it seems like you've decided to be what you were raised to be, man. So that's amazing. You got fans in the pivot, bro. We appreciate your time.
Appreciate you
carrying us. You know what I mean? The bridge you carry us. We love
Sure
it.
did.
We love it when the guest is better than the host, man. But best of luck to you, bro.
Thank
We
you,
watch.
thank you. I really appreciate it.
Man, that's just good, man.
Yes, sir.
Hey, I'm glad you asked that. They got to the basketball question, though, dog.
Thank you.
Yes, sir, bro. Appreciate you, man.
Hey,
Appreciate
Yeah,
my
do your
boy
thing,
said,
bro.
hey, my boy said he ain't gonna win ever again.
No, it's
And
crazy.
he
That's
said,
right.
hey, my dog, appreciate your time. Appreciate
Boy, you smell good.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got a pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. Only vision I can trust. Trust, limitless. Take a stomach, got a pin in it. I fought the head to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up.